Several minutes of commercial-free football starts now.
Here are the Purple Mortgage Guys.
Hey, welcome everybody to another episode of Purple Mortgage Guys. Goose, Tanner, and myself, Brent. Just three guys that work in the mortgage business. We love the Vikings and talking purple football. Started a show here this season. Guys, it's been an entertaining season, one that's been fun to document. We don't always know what we're talking about, but we have fun making predictions and talking about the Vikings and recapping the games. Coming off of last week's game, guys, hopefully for the first time this season, we get that victory that's just on cruise control the whole time and can win by multiple scores. Time will tell if that'll ever happen with this team, but that is the hope going into Saturday's game at US Bank Stadium against the Giants. Vikings are favored by 4. It's supposed to be a whiteout both in the stadium and outside the stadium, and should be another fun one to watch, guys. Want to jump right into it. We'll start. Tanner, any quick thoughts before the Giants game here going into the game at 11-3?
Yeah, this is the game we're going to blow the doors off on our opponent for once. I don't know how this team is even in the wild card hunt. They are not very good. I think this is probably one of the poorer teams that we're going to play on our schedule this year.
Are you saying they're a fraud?
They're frauds. They're frauds, man. The one bright spot that they've had on their roster, though, this year is Daniel Jones. Not been great to start out his career, his first few years, but he has actually been playing pretty well this year. I mean, he's not like in the top tier of NFL QBs or anything like that, but he is doing just enough to keep these guys in games every single year or every week. I'm sorry. So, offense isn't very talented. They're really lacking in weapons outside of Saquon Barkley. Offensive line is pretty improved from last year, but they do still have some holes. Their stud rookie receiver Wan'Dale Robinson is on IR, so they've kind of been struggling without him. Veteran receiver Sterling Shepard, they've been without him for a majority of the year. So Daniel Jones has been having to get it done every single week with guys like Isaiah Hodgins and Darius Slayton as his go-to receivers. Kenny Galladay has been a pretty massive disappointment, and I think he's actually been battling some injuries this year as well. So I don't think there's any reason this team shouldn't. It's a home game. Shouldn't beat the Giants by at least 2 scores this week, and I think we're going to do it.
I love the optimism. Goose, are you as optimistic, or what are you seeing?
Yeah, definitely is optimistic on what should happen. I do feel like there's been a few times where I feel like we should have come out and had this performance that Tanner talked about, and we haven't. So I wouldn't stamp it as a guarantee, but we really should come out and look good against these guys. But I agree. I think Daniel Jones, with what he's been working with, has had a pretty efficient season. Hasn't really been turning the ball over. It seems like organizations are starting to learn that before maybe you move on from that quarterback, you surround them with talent, get an O-line. Their tackles are young and really talented. So I think their O-line is kind of being built up a little bit. And I would imagine they tackle the wide receiver position a little bit more after trading Kadarius Toney away or releasing him. Like you look at Trevor Lawrence and the success that he's had after they went all in on wide receivers in the offseason. So I think they're tracking the right way with building in the trenches, but I certainly think this should be a game that we win.
Nice. You guys are both optimistic. I like it. Well, we'll get into our bold predictions here in a second, but one thing we like to do every Thursday or Friday is get some stats and some tidbits from Tanner. Tanner, what do you got for our Tanner's tidbits this week that people can use to impress their friends?
Bear with me. Most of my statistics this week are pretty basic. I couldn't find anything super interesting, but we'll just get into it. The Vikings are 17-12 all time against the Giants, including 8-5 in home games. They have won their last 3 matchups against the Giants. That last loss came in 2013. I think Brent probably remembers that game pretty vividly. I believe you were at that game, right, Brent?
Josh Freeman.
The Josh
the last
Freeman
loss.
nightmare game. Yeah, that was the last loss against the Giants. One to forget for sure. Kirk Cousins, not the greatest success against the Giants in his career. He's 4-5 against the Giants, including 2-2 in home games. In those starts, he's thrown for 259 yards a game, 10 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, and a 79.2 QB rating. So this will be Daniel Jones's second career game against the Vikings. I believe, I don't know if it was his rookie or his second season, but in his first start, he threw for 182 yards, a touchdown, an interception, and a 65.9 QB rating in a 28-10 loss back in New York in 2019. A little bit of trivia for you guys. Can you name the 3 QBs who have more passing attempts than Kirk Cousins this season?
Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes.
Justin Herbert.
There you go.
Herbert and Mahomes are hits. You haven't got number 1, though.
Jared Goff.
One guy they throw every time.
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady. Tom Brady. Those are the 3 guys.
Okay.
More Kirk Cousins stats. He is currently tied after his 4 touchdown performance last week, 5th in the league in touchdown passes. He needs 228 yards this week to pass Matt Hasselbeck on the all-time passing list, and he needs 2 touchdown passes to pass Tony Romo on the all-time passing list.
Cool.
Dalvin Cook needs 23 rushing yards this week to pass Chuck Foreman for 3rd in team history. Only Adrian Peterson and Robert Smith have more. And Justin Jefferson, up to this point in the season, has finally kind of separated himself from the rest of the pack. He's first in almost every single category. He's first in catches with 111. Needs 12 more receptions to pass Chris Carter to break the team record in that category. He's first in targets in the league, first in receiving yards in the league. Only needs, I believe, 10 yards this week to pass Randy Moss's team record. And he needs 342 more yards here in the last 3 games to pass Calvin Johnson's NFL record of 1,964 yards that he set back in 2012. So a couple cold weather games coming up. You guys think he'll get it?
I'm really rooting for it.
Yards.
I'm really rooting for the 2,000. Not just the record, but that 2,000 number. I think it's certainly possible. The weather's going to be bad, but those defenses also. Packers, Bears, Giants. I'm going to say he hits 2,000.
I have a hard time. I have a hard time seeing that with those 2 cold weather games, and that Chicago game, if everything plays out right, could end up being meaningless as well. So I'll take the under on that one, Tanner. Although I'm with you, Goose. That would be phenomenal to see that happen.
I think
it's only a matter of time.
Go ahead. Yeah. I think I'm probably going to take the under for a couple of reasons. One, the Packers defense, as bad as they've been this year, are still towards the top of the league in pass defense. And I would imagine he's probably not going to have over 100 yards against Jai Alexander in a cold weather game. And I do think that there is some potential that he's maybe not going to play a full 4 quarters against the Bears again in Week 18. But we'll see where things are at. So I will take the under as well, Brent. But hoping he gets it. That'd be awesome to see him break that in just his 3rd season.
Yeah,
that would be.
Saquon Barkley is 4th in the league in rushing. Only Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, and Nick Chubb have more. So Vikings defense will have their hands full with him this week. Andrew Thomas, the left tackle for the Giants, is the 4th highest graded tackle in the league this year. Trent Williams, Christian Darrisaw, and Tristan Wirfs are the only tackles that have higher grades. On the opposite end of the spectrum from that, Evan Neal, the rookie right tackle for the Giants, is actually the 2nd lowest graded tackle in the league. Only Greg Little, the right tackle for the Dolphins, has a lower grade than Evan Neal. He's been having quite a strong learning curve, I think, in his first season here.
Yeah.
Tay Crowder, starting linebacker for the Giants, is the second lowest graded linebacker in the league. Only the rookie from Houston, Christian Harris, is lower. And his counterpart, Micah McFadden, is the fifth lowest graded linebacker in the league. So the linebacking core in New York is atrocious. The one bright spot they do have on defense is Dexter Lawrence. He is the highest graded interior defensive lineman in the NFL this season. So kind of curious to see where the Giants end up lining him up across from guys like Ed Ingram and Ezra Cleveland. I think he's probably going to have his way with either of them. I'm not sure it really matters, but I would expect a heavy dose of CJ Ham this week to help in protection and in the run game as well. Andre Patterson, the former Vikings defensive coordinator and defensive line coach that was with us for years with Coach Zimmer, is now the Giants defensive line coach in New York. So he will be facing his former team this week. And Dalvin Tomlinson, our defensive tackle, will be facing his former team this week as well. Last one I got here is the Vikings have moved up to fourth in the NFL. They are the fourth overall graded team in the league per Pro Football Focus. The Giants are 29th. So
Wow.
one of the worst teams in the league. Like I said, I'm not really sure how they're 8-5-1. They started out the season pretty hot, but obviously that's not translating down the stretch.
I can see the title for this one right now. The Giants are frauds, right? Like that's your talking point for the week. If it's 33-0 at halftime, Tanner, we're coming for you.
You won't be finding me. That's 33 again.
Andre Patterson was one of my favorite Vikings coaches of all time. It always seemed like he had such a great rapport with his players. Even in Zimmer's kind of downfall, when it felt like he was losing the locker room, losing the fan base, losing the media, I feel like Andre stepped in to do a few more interviews than he had done in the past, and it just seemed like he really loved his guys. He's got a lot to work with right now with the Giants, so that's definitely, I think, in any game that we feel like we should win big, there could be a position group that it just absolutely dominates, and I could see their defensive line making it tough on us. They've got a lot of talent there.
Yeah. Those are Tanner Tidbits for this week.
Yes, sir.
All right. You did a deep dive. That was not basic by any means. So nice work. Goose, Tanner, we like to do some bold predictions. We throw it out on tape. We've not been batting a high percentage, but we've been winning a lot of games, so it's been fun. This week, I feel like there's a lot of optimism coming from us three again, so let's hopefully see that pan out on Saturday. Goose, we'll start with you again for bold predictions. Give me something that's going to happen in this game on Saturday at noon at US Bank Stadium against the Giants.
All right. Well, I'm going to go, this one just kind of popped up. I'm changing gears here. I'm going to say, for the reasons that you guys think JJ's not going to hit the record, he's going to have a really big game. Last game at home, indoors. I think what makes Justin Jefferson the wide receiver that he is, we've talked a lot about, like, looking at him, he's not like spectacular of like an athlete, or there's nothing that makes him, like, you look at Megatron and it's like, holy smokes, like, how can this guy run that fast? And it's like Justin Jefferson is the ultimate competitor. And I think one of those things is that 2000 number, this record, is really important to him. He was mad when he got pulled out of the Cowboys game up 40 or down 40-3. Like, this matters to him. And KOC also seems like a coach who, if something matters to that player that much, he's going to kind of will it to happen as well. So I'm going to say, at this stage in JJ's career, in order for it to be a bold prediction, 150 yards, 175 yards, doesn't even seem bold anymore. So I'm going to say Justin Jefferson has another 200-yard receiving game.
Jeez. Wow.
150 doesn't seem bold anymore for JJ. Just seems like another game.
There's an unwritten rule that we need to make public on this show, and that is that we don't ever speak of that 40-3 Cowboys game ever again. Okay. So thank you for that. 200 yards for JJ. Tanner, give me something that's going to happen on Saturday.
Part of me really doesn't want to see him get 200 yards this week because I have to play Brent in the second round of our work league fantasy football playoffs, and Brent has Justin Jefferson. So I'd be okay with a strong win this week and just having JJ maybe go for like 7 and 100 yards and maybe a touchdown. That would be fine. So
AJ's the hero again.
Yes, or Thielen. Thielen can step up once, but I'm going to go with, I did this one a couple of weeks back, and I'm going to do it again. I know we've kind of talked about Dalvin Cook a lot this year. I'm going to say this is the week he has his season high rushing total in a single game. The Giants are ranked 30th in the NFL in rush defense, giving up 150 yards a game, and I think Kevin O'Connell is probably going to try to exploit that and attack that area of their defense.
So what's the total?
I just say season high. I don't know what I think his current season high is like 119 rushing yards. So I think it's
okay. So
whatever,
120
whatever
plus.
Okay,
we'll double check.
Yeah, we'll look at it quick.
All right.
I think it came against the Bills. I'll look it up.
I'm gonna go with something a little more unique. I was gonna jump on the JJ bandwagon again as well, but we keep going back to that. Well, I'm giving up on Jalen Reagor until he starts running the right routes, but I'm gonna open this one up to anyone that's in the wide receiver position. We're gonna have a wide receiver rushing touchdown on Saturday.
All right. Tanner, you were right. It's 119 yards against the Bills. So he's going to surpass 119 yards rushing.
All right. So now we got to get into the final score. Vikings are favored by 4. 48 is the projected total points. 70% chance to win. 1 seed still technically in play, although the Eagles would have to lose out. We'd have to win out. I don't see that happening. Hanging on to that 2 seed is more the motivation this week and in the following few weeks. If we drop 1 and the Niners win out, we become the 3 seed. So these games are super important. Goose, give me the final score. Vikings going to cover. They're going to win. What do you have there? What's the score?
And Tanner called it weeks and weeks and weeks back, but it is looking very likely that the 49ers win out. So I do think these games are becoming a lot more important than maybe we thought when it seemed like the seeding was locked up. I'm going to say the Vikings cover and we win. Let's go 31-20.
All right. Tanner, what are you thinking?
I'm going to say 2 touchdowns on the ground for Dalvin this week, and then 2 through the air for Kirk. And no field goals. No field goals this week from either team. I'm going to say 28-14 Vikings. Strong performance from our defense. Goose is loving it.
The old 28-14. Greg Joseph just tacks on 4 more extra points, and the confidence continues to build for the playoffs. Guys, I'm right with you there, Goose, on the Giants getting 20. I had this pegged as a 34-20 game, win by 2 touchdowns. We won't even know how to feel in the fourth quarter because we'll have a comfortable lead and we won't be stressed out. We might keep Tanner engaged the whole time, Goose, on our text thread we got going. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm hoping to be able to be there, assuming the weather holds out as well. So that should be a nice, comfortable afternoon on a Saturday right before Christmas to just win and not have to worry. So it seems like we all think it's going to be a comfortable victory, guys. 11 to 14 points. So
that always makes all of us a little uncomfortable when we're all comfortable with it. Your poor skin isn't going to know what to do when you go from that nice Mexico weather to walking to US Bank in the dry, cold air.
It was only a real feel difference of about 129 this morning. So looking forward to that. I also want to tell you guys, I don't know if you heard this yet, but the Commanders are going to knock off the Niners as well. We're going to be really optimistic. So
Taylor Heineke season.
Get on the Heineke bandwagon. 'Tis the season. So, all right, guys, this is the toughest part of the show for one of us, but you have to come up with one name where if the game does not go well and we lose, who's the one name that we're pointing to? Again, we would have had a hard time coming up with one name last week if the first half bled into the second half. Fortunately, it was the opposite. But give me one name. Things don't go well. Goose, I'll start with you. Give me the one name of the person we're going to be complaining about on, I guess, Sunday or Monday if they don't come out on time.
I thought about avoiding it because we've gone to this well a few times with our interior line. But looking at the Giants' strength, which I think is their D-line, edge rushers, I just feel like that's got to be it. So to pick a name, I feel like Schlottman's going to play again. I'd have a hard time blaming him for a loss filling in as a backup, so I'll go Ed Ingram.
So he's a solid pick right there.
Yeah, keep your cleats off of Kirk.
If we were doing a draft, he would go number one.
Yeah.
Tanner, one first name, one last name. What do you got?
I came prepared this week. I was ready for this question.
Nice.
I do think Schlottman is going to play as well, Goose. I think now that we have that playoff spot secured, I think there's probably a pretty good chance that they're going to rest him until he's fully healthy again. I don't know if you guys read or not. He got in a car accident on the way home from the game last Saturday, and I heard it re-aggravated his back injury. So, I could see him maybe potentially not even playing again yet this year until playoffs start. So, my one guy though is going to be the Pro Bowler, Zadarius Smith. I have a feeling Ed Donatel's probably going to be lining him up across from Evan Neal quite a bit. He is the obvious liability as opposed to Andrew Thomas. So they're going to try to exploit that, and I want to see him get home a couple times this week. And I would say that Monday or Sunday morning, I guess I should say, on Christmas Day, we'll probably be pretty upset if our defense doesn't get home at least a couple times. This is a Giants offensive line that is ranked 28th in the league in pass protection as well. 44 sacks allowed on the season. So my one guy I'm going to pick is Zadarius.
Okay.
At this point, who do you think is our better edge rusher?
I'm glad you brought that up. I have another fun Tanner tidbit.
Let me throw my name out there quick. I'm going to throw out Cam Bynum because if we get beat over the top again on some of those big plays that we shouldn't be giving up, that's going to be a huge reason why. Go ahead, Tanner.
I was just going to say, I read this morning that Zadarius Smith and Danielle Hunter have equal to the dot PFF grades, 83.0, equal this season.
Yeah, it feels like Danielle has been the better player the last 4 or 5 weeks, and hopefully they can hit stride at the same time, and we can kind of see what we were hoping for from the beginning of the year.
Wouldn't it be nice to just have Kirk be able to go in victory formation, like the 2-minute warning, and just kneel the clock out? And they don't. When's the last time
formation? What is that?
Have we? I'm going off memory here, but I'm pretty sure we've only beat the Packers by more than one score. Correct? Every other one's been a 1-score win. Yeah. Like, not going to say the fraud word because that's for the Giants, but we need to win. We need to win comfortably one of these games.
Yeah,
we will. We will.
So give me some quick thoughts on the playoffs just to wrap it up here, guys. Are we still thinking 3 seed, 2 seed? We're giving the Eagles the 1 seed, right?
Yes.
And we got the 2 seed. Are we thinking San Francisco?
So just to rehash on it real quick, the Eagles are the 1 seed at 13-1. Jalen Hurts does have an AC sprain or a shoulder sprain, so Gardner Minshew could be playing this week and next week. Vikings are the 2 seed. Niners are the 3 seed. Bucks are the 4 seed. Cowboys at 5 essentially have that spot locked up. They're not going to go up or down. The Giants are still playing for something. They're currently the 6th seed, and then the Commanders are the last seed here. So I feel pretty good about the Vikings being the 2 or 3 seed, obviously, for sure. I don't see them catching the Eagles. I would say the Eagles probably have to lose out. The Vikings would have to win out. and I know Goose and I talked earlier this week, I do think the Vikings can and should win out. I do have a little bit of concern that they might drop one of the divisional games here towards the end of the year. And if that happens and the Niners win out, we will be the 3 seed. So,
yeah,
we'll maybe do a deep dive early next week on the playoff projections because there's a lot to talk about there. But you know what? When Washington knocks off the Niners on Sunday, shocks the world, we're going to have a little bit of breathing room. So you guys can thank me for that one when I get up.
Oh my!
Any closing thoughts, guys? Tanner, you got any closing thoughts? Go for it, Tanner.
Yeah. Just reiterating, I want to see us blow the doors off somebody once, and I think this is the team to do it. However, I just hope we come prepared and come out firing for once. Don't come out slacking, looking flat. And I do want to keep that seed planted in everybody's mind that Daniel Jones is a quarterback that can hurt people on the ground and will hurt people on the ground. So that is obviously something that this team has struggled with this season and pretty much our entire history, I guess, mobile QBs. So yeah,
for selfish fantasy football playoff reasons, for someone that may or may not have Jalen Hurts, give me Daniel Jones's stat line for Saturday.
Oh, me or Goose or both?
Both. Shoot it out there, Tanner.
I'm gonna say, I'll say he'll break 200 yards, 200 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, and 60 yards on the ground.
Okay.
I'm gonna go similar. I'm gonna go 225 passing, a passing touchdown, just one passing touchdown. I think Saquon maybe gets a rushing touchdown. So 1 touchdown total, 225 passing, and 40 rushing.
No picks?
No picks.
Well, I appreciate that inside info. All right, guys, there you have it. Another episode of Purple Mortgage, guys. Hit these 2 up if you need a home loan, and we will recap the Giants game again after it concludes on Saturday, sometime early in the next week. So have a great weekend, everybody. Stay safe.